You know, sometimes I'll just be playing Borderlands 2, and I'll stop fighting for a sec. I'll just take a second to put down my guns, ignore the enemies, and just wonder to myself, what would it be like to live on Pandora? A wasteland at the edge of human civilization. Once beyond the corporate's petty squabbling, now the planet and its moon has changed hands too many times to count. Time was a traveller might find a desperate kind of freedom here. Now, it's as much a prison as when Dahl first broke ground. The beauty of something so dangerous is something that is enamoring to the human mind. A cast of a fishing line that reels us in. A promise of action, unpredictability, and adventure. I mean, think about it. Why do we as humans feel the need to climb every steep cliff, walk every rocky mountain, dive to the depths of the ocean and go searching for creatures that would like to see nothing but our blood? Simple. Because we aren't supposed to be able to do that. It's in a human's nature to crave something that they cannot have or achieve. It's the reason why prohibition grew at the rate at which alcohol was being consumed and distributed far more than before the ban. It's the reason why people purposefully venture to undiscovered areas of this planet, or even beyond, and these places that have tried to be, but have refused to accept our curiousness. Pandora is no different. It's a scarred wasteland with the faint smell of death and lighter fluid. It's a planet which is no rookie to greed, villainy, mystery, or abandonment. But the danger is the reason why the planet is so intriguing to the masses that flock to discover its engaging nature. Built by an ancient lost race stuck in the time like a crack in the wall, the Iridians constructed Pandora as the ultimate prison for an alien creature too powerful for its own good, the Destroyer. Pandora has highly unusual features for a celestial body. Everything from aggressive fauna to unpredictable climate to sources of deadly mutations is specifically designed to attract challenge, repel conquerors, lure researchers, and tempt adventurers of all sorts. Whilst the allure of a planet so stricken with danger is a tempting one, especially given the nature of us, there is more than just bursting volcanoes or burning deserts waiting on the surface for us. Whether that be the aggressive fauna that has endured life on this planet and doesn't take kindly to visitors, or savages that have become mentally unjust from years of war, disease, cannibalism, experimentation, and imprisonment. There will always be something out to get you on this planet, whether you know it or not. You may already be dead. The major forms of fauna on Pandora aggressively protect their territory. An approach is usually met with immediate attack. Pandora has many different creatures that are seldom friendly towards you. These include skags, lava crabworms, scythids, spider ants, drifters, rack hives, varkids, and many, many other dangerous creatures. There are also many undiscovered species on Pandora as well. A well-known scientist going by the name of Dr. Tanis also mentions there are many species of bugs. Some of these bugs are glowing green flies seen when approaching a skag pile or toilets. Do not be unaware of them, however, as they are known to spread fatal diseases and aren't scared of sharing. An intelligent species encountered on Pandora are the Guardians. However, it is revealed that they are controlled husks of the ancient Iridians. No actual Iridians have ever been found on the planet, at least not yet. And these Guardians are believed to be protectors from the extinct Iridian civilization. There are also a variety of plants on Pandora, although the local flora is sparse in many areas. The majority of the vegetation present is similar in appearance to flora found in the southwestern United States. One of the most common plants, or plant analogues, resembles cacti with orange glowing eyes found throughout the desert-like environment of the arid Badlands and beyond. Mushroom-like growths can be found in the arid Badlands and many of the cave areas, which is probably used as food for local animals and human settlers. There are also some plant life, including moss-like plants on the ground and large sunflower-style plants that grow with 3 heads. Dead, blackened trees can be found on various parts of the world. This may be seasonal and they just haven't awoken yet, but it is undiscovered. Fire melons can also be scattered around the planet, and they do not enjoy being tampered with, exploding into flames if touched. Extreme caution must be taken when approaching them, especially in the wild. The climate of Pandora consists of snowy or volcanic ash-strewn mountainous areas, large desert valleys and coastal stretches. The terrain is crisscrossed with canyons, ravines, rocky outcrops and plateaus. Large bodies of water are also present, bordering several of the zones. Due to the repeated presence of raised construction, it is likely that many of these areas are much wetter environments during different times of the Pandorian year. Many areas on the planet seem to have suffered from extreme climate change, suffering a complete change in environment. A flash freeze occurred on a large portion of the planet, turning the whole area into a desolate, frozen wasteland which stopped everything in its tracks. On the opposite end, some areas have suffered massive droughts, turning vast oases into dry open landscapes bare of the wonderful vistas that once made them attractive to visitors. And then there is the people that occupy the planet, whether that be by choice, because of military action, or simply because they are stuck there. The areas that they inhabit, settlements, can be split into 3 different groups. First are military encampments established during the Crimson Lance occupation. These are huge, well-fortified structures and bunkers made of steel and concrete. The non-hostile civilian establishments constitute the second group. Due to general lack of resources, the inhabitants laid their hands on the only material they had in abundance, scrap metal and garbage. However, occasionally there are more well-made structures made from wood or bricks. Although not exactly solid or cozy, these buildings offer some proper conditions and facilities like power, canalization, etc., making them a good place to rest or make business. Without proper organisation, many of these settlements were constructed virtually ad hoc, turning towns into densely populated mazes of blocks, stair flights, alleys, backyards, etc. When the fauna of Pandora turned hostile and the crime levels soared, it became a necessity for every town to hastily assemble rudimentary fortifications. The third and last group is loosely made of bandit camps of various kinds. These gangs reside in various places, occupying defunct industrial installations, inhabiting natural dwellings, or simply stacking up near the roads and towns, hoping for easy prey and loot. Their buildings are relatively simple, mostly huts and shacks, offering little more than primitive shelter, storage, sometimes toilets. Only the most notorious leaders in the biggest groups manage to reach some kind of higher organisation. Some of these bases even achieve their own names, like Thor Digtown, Lockdown Palace, or Midgetville. The history of this stricken planet breeds a curious nature in even the most passive, having played host to thousands of years worth of intrigue, mining operations, and war. Millennia before the events of Borderlands, the highly advanced Iridian civilization, said to not be gods nor demons, but people who were literally able to pluck stars from the sky, created Pandora and its moon Elpis in an effort to stop and imprison the cosmic entity known as the Destroyer. The planet itself was constructed with an impenetrable but unstable Iridium mantle, and a giant Iridium weapon known as the Warrior was used to protect it from those who attempted to stop the Iridians' work and gain favour with the Destroyer. A siren named Nereid completed the sealing of the Destroyer, leeching all the collective energy of the Iridians to perform this monumental task of luring the monster and sealing the planet at the cost of their lives and civilization. To keep the Destroyer fed and sedated, the Iridians spread rumours of what became known as the Vault, to lure unsuspecting treasure hunters to their demise every 200 years. Little is known about what else the Iridians have done on the planet, but by the presence of various ruins and the famed vaults containing the Warrior and the Guardians, it can be inferred that it was used as a remote prison location for other dangerous entities as well. The Dahl Corporation arrived at some point before the events of the original Borderlands. The company set up facilities in the search for alien technology that was believed to be hidden on the planet. Outposts were established during this frenzy of activity, and new colonists began to settle in and around these makeshift archaeological digs. Little or nothing was found. However, word spread about the anticipated cache of technology within the vault. Rumours soon circulated, triggering a second wave of fortune hunters to touch down on the marginally developed planet. Many of these people were heavily armed, highly driven, competitive, and had no affiliation with Atlas. The commerce grid was likely established as these freelancers started trading amongst themselves and Atlas employees. The fast travel network was also likely established during this period to help facilitate the easy transmission of goods and services. Decades before the events of Borderlands, the Dahl Corporation arrived upon Pandora. The Crimson Lance, and by extension Atlas, still held the strongest controlling interest on Pandora at that time, so it is likely that Dahl entered under the pretext of mining Pandora's abundant mineral wealth. This was a boon to the local populace, as it meant a sudden, prolonged influx of supplies, products, and materials for expansion. With the material came a new wave of trained, educated specialists, managers, and planners. A new city, dubbed Haven, was founded to close the Headstone Iridium mines, well away from Atlas interference. New outposts were founded around mining resources. Prefabricated refineries and other large industrial facilities were quickly erected and put into operation to process the ore. In addition to the vast quantities of industrial might, slave labour was imported to Pandora in the form of off-world convicts. In the previous decades, Dahl investment on the planet had reached its peak, with the only real regular contribution being a steady trickle of off-world convicts and a few essential goods. A kind of economic homeostasis had been reached. Life was about as good on Pandora as it had ever been, which isn't saying much. A little over 2 years before the events of Borderlands, Patricia Tannis took her first steps onto Pandora. The EchoNet was established, or at least perfected, with technical expertise from Tannis. The first key fragment to the vault was also discovered in or around the Headstone mine. Atlas somehow received word of the discovery and deployed a large unit of Crimson Lance to Pandora. Faced with the impending invasion of Atlas's soldiers, Dahl was forced to abandon their plans for Pandora and flee the planet. The Dahl withdrawal was very messy, leaving hundreds if not thousands of employees and their families behind. Little effort was made to take the heavy, expensive mining machinery off-world, apparently having been deemed too unimportant to risk more casualties or delays in extraction efforts. Among the resources that Dahl left behind was their mining vessel Sanctuary, which the Crimson Lance annexed into a large human settlement and put under martial law. As to Tannis, she was directed to abandon her work, although ultimately her research into the vault gave her incentive enough to refuse her orders and she remained behind. The off-world convicts were also left behind. They broke out from their various labour camps using the materials and weapons of their former guards and eventually codified into feudal and tribal arrangements. A number of bandit lords rose to prominence among their number, each controlling various regions. Some arranged in loose hierarchies with lesser leaders showing allegiance to the more powerful gangs. Haven was overrun by the bandits, prompting the residents to establish a new town further to the west, finding building materials easy to come by with a massive dump, New Haven. Bandit Lord Sledge, in possession of a vault key fragment, rallied other unarmed bandit tribes under his banner. Through force of arms and ruthlessness, he terrorized the areas surrounding Headstone Mine in the effort to find more key fragments. Another key fragment initially found by Tannis fell into the hands of Crom, a rival bandit lord. Tannis, with her own agenda to open the vault, had her transmissions intercepted by the Crimson Lance force led by Commandant Steele, who herself coveted the key to the vault and began to hatch a plan to seize it for herself. After the opening of the vault, Atlas began to suffer a string of disasters. The first was a death of Commandant Steele during the vault's opening, causing significant chaos in the ranks of the Crimson Lance. General Alfonso Knox made an admittedly half-hearted attempt to restore order to Pandora, but was also killed. The Atlas CEO was later poisoned and killed by Professor Nakayama of Hyperion, according to Nakayama himself. Atlas was ultimately forced to leave Pandora, abandoning what remained of the Crimson Lance. With no sense of command anymore, the Lance went rogue. 5 years later, Handsome Jack, now leader of the Hyperion Corporation, took all the credit for opening the vault and became an overnight trillionaire with the discovery of Iridium. He then took on the task of liberating Pandora from its outlaw population using an army of loader robots, starting with the destruction of New Haven and its residents. He then proceeded with the goal of uncovering a second vault, this time to gain control of the ancient Iridian weapon known as the Warrior. Combating the Hyperion takeover was the Crimson Raiders, a resistance force made up of former Vault Hunters and Crimson Lance that operated from Sanctuary, though it alone was clearly not enough to do so much as put a dent in the corporate giant's power. In order to stop others from awakening the Warrior before he could, Jack sent an off-world message, hoping to attract treasure hunters to Pandora, where he would have killed them off before they reached their goal. Little did he know that some treasure hunters don't die so easily, and 6 vault hunters who survived Jack's attempts to kill them joined with the Crimson Raiders, destroyed the warrior, and killed Handsome Jack. Following Jack's defeat, Hyperion presence on the planet became minimal due to the hostility of the native population and the lack of a clear goal providing a reason to actually be on Pandora. Hyperion presence was mainly relegated to the Helios space station until its destruction, which ultimately ended their occupation of the planet. Over the course of the next 7 years, the bandit tribes were united under the banner of the Children of the Vault, led by Siren Tyrene Calypso and her brother Troy, began a campaign to release the seal on Pandora and take the Destroyer's power for themselves. The Crimson Raiders tried to fight back against the growing force of the COV's united strength and the Calypso livestream propaganda, but their efforts continued to dwindle until a new group of Vault Hunters arrived to join the ranks. Together, they were able to ultimately kill the Calypsos before they could destroy the universe. The many stories of Pandora only add to the alluring nature that this planet has, managing to captivate you into its grasps even more. It's somewhere that has a dangerous elegance, and if looks could kill, Pandora definitely would. It's somewhere you could see yourself dying of thirst or blood loss, but also where you could see yourself settling down and living the rest of your life on. It's really hard to put into words what it would feel like to take a late night stroll through some of these environments, and even with all the death, destruction and danger, I definitely still would. There's just something about these backdrops. The deserts that seemingly go on for miles, the barren wastelands, the frozen glaciers, the underground chasms, the enormous wide mountains that just pulls me in. And whether I'm alone in that feeling or you share it with me, I don't think I'd want to run around, collect loot, or kill crazed maniacs anywhere else. So, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to press that sub button and all the likes and all that. You know how it works. But yeah, Pandora. It's one of those places that I sort of just think about sometimes, you know? Like when you're playing a game, do you ever just think, I'm just going to stop for a few minutes and just observe this beautiful world that we've been placed on to do all this stuff? Because I do sometimes, in some games specifically, but there's just something about Borderlands 2's Pandora that really just captivates me and grasps me and pulls me in. And the many environments just really get to me. And I do feel like a lot of games do have that nice environmental storytelling, but there's just something about Borderlands 2's storytelling just through the environments. The world building through the environments is just amazing. It's a game that I've been playing for pretty much my whole life. I mean, since I was around 10 years old. So it means a lot to me, and being able to explore the planet more and just look at the actual physical details of the planet really means a lot. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. A bit more of a serious video this one, but I think it is actually needed. I do need to actually have some serious video. I know I'm known for more funny stuff, but this one meant a lot. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.